Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
And we are ready to rock and roll on this Thursday. It is a very special edition, playoff edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. As we keep cruising along here, 3 more playoff games on tap here tonight, and we've got you covered on all 3 of them, including pretty important game for the Miami Heat as they are getting ready to take on the Milwaukee Bucks. We got a tied-up series there. Phoenix Lakers also getting ready to do battle at the Staples Center. And then, of course, one apiece with the Denver Nuggets traveling to Portland to take on the Trailblazers. And we're going a little OG here for you on this Thursday edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show as we bring the original crew back together again. Here they are, Ski Prophet in the house, as well as Tony Finn, and hitting cleanup here, Rob Vino on a loaded card here, gentlemen. A lot to be decided here, certainly in the first game tonight we're going to get to. But we'll start with you there, Ski, my friend. How did you do last night in the association? And, of course, what do you got rocking and rolling today at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, the best bet on the show won. That's always good. I had a 2-1 in one day, so profit, and I'll look to keep it going again today. So far, I have 1 game up, but I have a side and a total in the WNBA game, and I've made 1 play for the NBA games tonight.
All right, got it. Ready to go there, guys, at WagerTalk.com, as is the guy in the middle. There he is, Tony Finn in the house. So, Finn, talk to us, my man. How'd you do last night, and what do you got locked and loaded here today at Wager Talk?
I lost last night. I had the over in the Philly and Washington game. Looked pretty good in the first half, and then a couple of 40-point quarters. The fourth quarter, the 2 second rotations for both teams, for the most part, was my demise. They looked more like a Division III college basketball game than it did NBA playoff game. But tonight, I have 2 plays. I have a free play. Obviously, we know what that is here in this in the late game, in the Portland and Denver game, and I have a position on both other games. The Portland, the Milwaukee Miami game, and of course the LeBron versus Luka contest.
Nice. Not sure how LeBron and Luka have anything to do with one another right now, but I'm sure we'll get to it, Tony Finn. I'm going to talk to Rob Vino now because he's actually lucid enough to understand English. Rob, how you been, my man? How'd you do last night? What do you got going on tonight?
Last night was good. 2-1 NBA playoffs, 6-2 the last 3 days. So a bunch of those were 4% best bets. So that's really good when you hit the big ones. Tonight, though, I don't have a single thing up, Joe. The last couple of days, I've been up real early with my NBA stuff because I had a pretty good feel. And tonight, as we switch venues in these series, I'm not as quick on the trigger, I guess you would say. But I do have Major League Baseball up and available right now, 4% best bet at WagerTalk.com, and we'll see if we get to the window with anything in the NBA tonight.
All right. See, still plenty of time here to figure it out, guys. As first game up, 7:35 Eastern time tip. That would be game number 3 here, AAA Arena. The Miami Heat trying to get on the board here with at least a win in this best of 7, down 2-0. Miami opens up as a slight favorite, but boy, oh boy, that didn't take long to swing the other way. The Bucks now pretty much 1.5 across the board. The total coming down a little, 225. I'm seeing right now, even 224.5. And I can't blame the total for going down there, Ski, seeing how I believe the starters for the Miami Heat are they've scored a whopping 45 total points here in the first couple of games. I mean, when Dwayne Dedmon is your leading scorer off the bench, we got issues in Miami. There's some issues going on. I don't know what the issues are outside of Tyler Hero can't play and Jimmy Butler forgot he's Jimmy Butler. But what do you think we're going to get here tonight? Any different from Miami Heat?
Yeah, no more bubble for Tyler Hero, and Jimmy Butler is going to have to figure it out. I'll say one thing that really stood out to me. I bet you Miami wish they didn't trade Kelly Olynyk for a bag of chips, because they could definitely use him to space the floor in this type of series. It would open up the paint for Jimmy, for Bam, to have some more offensive success. When I look at it a little bit more, like I want to say Miami can come back and win this game, and obviously, I mean, it's a huge motivation spot in the first half. As you can see, like the odds makers have him as a favorite on the first half and a dog for the game. So if I'm playing Miami, I would expect them to come out early and bring the energy from the start, because if they don't, what are they saving it for? Milwaukee, though, I like their scheme against Miami. They kind of flipped the script. Like, they're packing the paint against Miami and forcing them to beat them from outside, and it hasn't been successful. So Butler maybe struggling a little bit with Giannis' length on him. I don't know, man. I lean towards Miami first half. If I was playing Milwaukee, it would be the full game.
They're going to have to get it going there, Tony Finn. The question is, you better off looking at the side, the total here. Is it just Milwaukee all the way for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time. Listen, this isn't last year's Miami versus Milwaukee. This isn't the same Milwaukee team. This isn't the same Milwaukee. It's Bucks group that has disappointed the last couple of years. In the playoffs, been great, regular season, but postseason not so good. Just look at game one. Once I saw game one, and Milwaukee was a big play for me in game two, but after game one, when you see a team that makes 15 fewer three-point shots than their opponent and still loses, there's an issue. There's a serious issue, and from what I read and from what I heard, I didn't check this, so I can't confirm it, but I think it was the largest differential of 3 points made to from one team to the other for a winning team in postseason games. I think it was ESPN I read, so it must be true, right? In that game one, the Greek Freak was also 0 for 14 from outside the restricted area. Different in game two. I think you're going to see much of what you saw in game two. I mean, obviously Milwaukee jumped out to a big lead, Joe. I don't expect them to jump out that kind of lead in Miami, but for 48 minutes in a game that's a pick'em here, if you're on Miami, it's got to be based on heart, on loyalty, or a whim and a prayer, in my opinion.
Well, and their backs kind of against the wall here, Rob. I mean, I don't believe anybody's come back in this spot from a 3-0 deficit in the NBA playoffs. So it's going to be kind of win or bust here for the Miami Heat. What do you think we're going to see from them tonight, or is the total a way to approach it?
Well, I had the total in game two, just figuring that in Milwaukee could not shoot 5 of 32 again from 3-point range, or 5 of 31, whatever it was, and they did. Miami has not shot particularly well in either one of these games, guys. 36.4% game one, 40.2%. This is overall field goal percentage. That's not going to win playoff games unless they're being played under 100 points for the winner. So they're going to have to shoot the ball better. And Joe, to get to your point, season's on the line, right? They can't, if they go down 3-0, you might as well exit the playoffs. But, when season's on the line for Jimmy Butler, and I got this quote from Jimmy, interesting. Again, he's not a guy to beat around the bush. I mean, when Jimmy Butler says something, it's usually truthful. It's usually honest. He's not making up stuff. So for him, he basically said, we know what we have to do. Sometimes we get a little lost in getting everyone else involved. I think at times you've just got to go, especially myself. Now, I'll have Ski go ahead and look up what the number is for Jimmy Butler props tonight. But to
24.
me, that sounds like
24,
you go. it seems like Jimmy over in any situation. If they're going to go down, he's going to go down with himself swinging. And, there's really nobody that can stop him when he gets to that mindset. He might stop himself by not shooting particularly well, but I think you're going to get the volume of shots. I think you'll see trips to the free throw line out of Jimmy Butler. I'm not a prop player, but for those who are, I think you stand a pretty good chance of cashing Jimmy Butler tickets here tonight. Tony Finn said real quick, guys, that this is not the same Milwaukee team that disappointed in the past. And I think a ton of it has to do, I commented on this at the end of game one on Twitter. A lot of it has to do with Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker. These guys were brought in for this reason. Remember last year with Miami, we were talking about Jimmy Butler and Jay Crowder were brought in for a specific reason: defense, physicality, tough between the ears. Same thing here. Drew Holiday blocks a shot to win game one, and PJ Tucker has shown up in these two games as well in his particular role. So Milwaukee does look a little bit different to me. 2 months ago, I wasn't giving them much consideration to get out of the East. But as you watch them now, they look like a different team. Giannis will attack the paint. Whether Miami can stop him with the picket fence remains to be seen. But I do think you'll see a lot out of Jimmy tonight. I don't think Miami goes down without a fight.
All right. That is game one, guys. 7:35 Eastern time tip between the Heat and the Bucks. We'll head over to the 10:05 start. Looky here. The one and only Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James. Anthony Davis heading home. Staples Center tonight will be the scene against the Phoenix Suns. Game 3, this one knotted up, 1 apiece. Of course, Chris Paul, everyone wanting to know what's his availability, how hurt is he, what's going to happen. 5.5 was the opening number. I'm seeing 6.5 now. I'm also seeing right around 212, so maybe a little tick up here in the total. Tony Finn, I will come to you. How effective is Chris Paul going to be in your mind? Does it matter that much to the Suns in this situation? Which way you leaning?
Well, you did a really good job of saying you didn't know what Luka and LeBron had to do. Luka, I didn't expound on it, but Luka is Booker's the Luka of Phoenix.
Gotcha.
How Booker goes, so go the Suns now. That I'm concerned about Chris Paul. Chris Paul would have been, he's the key. Really, before game one of the series, Joe, my question was, which one's going to survive? Is it going to be Chris Paul? Is it going to be LeBron? Which one's going to be the healthiest? Chris Paul is a tougher of the two, that, in my opinion. And Rob and I have talked about this extensively, along with John Vegas Kelly. And I like the Suns, like them from the get-go. My concern here is that I had to take a step backwards because of Chris Paul and the fact that without him, they're not as efficient offensively, simply because their assist-to-turnover ratio will not be the same. He is the key. He is the guy that's in control of that offense. He's the one that decides who has the best opportunity to make a bucket. And without him being completely healthy, this becomes more of an even series, in my opinion. And much like game 2, game 1, for instance, I think the Lakers are going to have to figure out how to score a little more, though. They have to be a little more. LeBron can't just decide he's going to take 3-pointers like he did at game 1. And I think he was inside the restricted zone 4 times, Joe, just 4 times. I'm going to lean Phoenix again. First game on the road, and I'm pushing in on this very small, but I'm pushing on that Chris Paul will be able to survive 48 minutes, or at least play 35 to 38 minutes, and help this team get a road win at Staples.
Going to be an interesting game here, Rob. Certainly from the free throw line. What in the world? Are we going to get 30 shots apiece from the free throw line? Because we were lucky to get over 211 in that last game here. It is creeping up here a little bit. What do you think about the Lakers in Phoenix?
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm going to end up here, Joe. Real quick first, Phoenix as an underdog, +7. I mean, obviously, Chris Paul injured, but my first reaction was, let's see how Phoenix has been as a dog, because +7 just sounds like a lot to me for a team that has some fight in them. Phoenix has been an underdog 11 times this year, 6-5 against the spread, 6-5 straight up. We remember, throughout 2/3 of the season, they followed that pattern, right? If they win, they cover. If they lose, they don't. So they followed that pattern as an underdog. They were only as high as +6 one time. Tonight it's 7. That was a loss to the LA Clippers. They're 4-2 as a dog when getting points this year. So a lot of that is contradictory. I threw it in the garbage. The Suns have been amazingly consistent shooting the basketball, 46.5% in each of the first 2 games on the nose. Lousy from 3, really, when you consider they need to make threes, 32% and 31%, not good. Lakers have been even worse from 3-point range, 28.8% for the series, so they're not shooting either. They've been worse from the field, 44.2% overall from the field. I'm going to get to the total, though, that you talked about, Joe, because just before we came on, it creeped up again. 212.5, 213, and this is all probably based on news that Chris Paul's going to start the game. But like you mentioned, they were so lucky to get over the 210.5 the other night. I know good pal Teddy Covers usually doesn't rant on Twitter, but he had to rant and talk about 19 points in the last 2 minutes. The last 17 free throws that were shot were all makes in that game. This series, guys, has been the absolute slowest tempoed series, and it's been the least volume as far as field goal attempts are concerned series played out of the 8 so far. It's a pedestrian style series, and out of 422 possible points in that last game, they managed to score 50% of them, which is a high number, and 422 is a very low number in basketball this season. I mean, if you just want to gauge on that, the average game has 455 potential points. This one had 422, 33 under that. It took 50% conversion on those attempts for points to get to 211. I just don't see this thing getting to 213 tonight, Joey. Again, we talked a lot this year about injuries being major moves in the point spread. They cause major moves in the point spread. I think they're causing a major move here in the total, the wrong direction. So if it gets higher, which possibly it will, I think the under is a good look here.
Yeah, it's I don't know if we're going to get a repeat of what we had there in game 2, Skia, though the final result wasn't that bad for your Lakers. What do you think we're going to see in this first game at the Staples Center tonight?
Well, real quick on the total. I don't. If it's going up because Chris Paul's in, I disagree with that. Because Chris Paul, if anything, I mean, he's not going to shoot as well with his arm that way. And in general, he just takes time off the clock dribbling the ball. So Chris Paul in equals more of an under to me. As far as the side goes, I heard Tony say a couple things that I just wanted to comment on. He said, with Chris Paul hurt, it becomes an even series. I think Tony's a little bit of Tony must hate the Lakers or something. Even without Chris Paul? Come on, Tony. They got the 2 best players on the floor, even if Chris Paul's playing. About the LeBron James not getting in the restricted area, he's not healthy. He's probably like 75% healthy. That's why you see him out there just – it's probably a good look for him to go over his three-pointers made because he's probably going to shoot a lot of them. He's not being aggressive unless he has a straight line to the basket, just like Tony said. So I probably like LeBron over 2.5 3-pointers. If I was going to play this one, I would look to play the Lakers early. I think that they'll come out in the first half and be up by margin. I think it was 3.5. And after that, all bets are off. I'm not going to expect them to win by double digits in this game, but I do think they win.
Well, they've won 6 of their last 7 at the Staples Center against Phoenix. We'll see what happens tonight. Also, interesting use of Andre Drummond and Marc Gasol in the first couple of games here, getting a lot of minutes, those big men, against Ayton, because that's pretty much all they have. 10:05 is what the tip time is for that game, guys. Phoenix against the Lakers. And then, of course, about 25, 30 minutes later, we've got the final game of the night, which comes along with a John Ryan of SportsMemo.com angle of the day. And wouldn't you know it, Denver at Portland. The angle says we want to bet on home favorites of 3.5 to 9.5 points and who are revenging a double-digit loss. Now, the home cook and favorite is playing in their second game in the past 5 days. If that's the case, then that team 77-31-1 against a number that is a 70% winning percentage over the last 5 seasons. That means give me the Portland Trailblazers, lay the points over the Denver Nuggets here tonight. Opened up at 3.5. I am seeing 4s in a number of spots. I'm also seeing 227 now, 227.5. So the total has come down here a little bit, Rob Vino. Are you surprised the total is coming down here a little bit? Or do you think that we might, in fact, get a little less scoring in this one than we saw maybe in the first couple?
Yeah, if you base it solely, Joe, on what we've seen in the first 2 games, you're surprised that the total is coming down because we've seen no indication that there's going to be any stoppage in the points out of these 2 teams. We've seen no indication that the defense on either side is going to get any better, although Denver's second half did contain Damian Lillard, but that's, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, they gave up 32 points in the second quarter. So, I mean, to contain the guy after that, a little late putting out that fire. I think what went wrong here for Portland in game 2 was the bench was non-existent. That bench went about, and they were getting beat pretty soundly in the end. So guys got to play who didn't play the first game. But the first game they went with an 8-man rotation. Carmelo and Anthony Simons had 32 points. The bench had 34. Now Simons gets hit in the mouth, leaves the game early in game 2, and was never really a factor. And Carmelo was never a factor. I think maybe this team got a little bit starstruck staring at Dame in the second quarter, just doing whatever he wanted to and carrying this team. And, they didn't, in the end, they didn't have enough offense to outgun Denver. Denver made everything. Because this is a game 3, and game 3s are usually linchpins to series, or they can be linchpins to a series, maybe you get advanced effort here on the defensive end. But again, that sounds all well and good, but what exactly is extra effort out of these 2 teams? Damian Lillard saw Aaron Gordon. That was an adjustment Michael Malone made. Second half, we're going to put Aaron Gordon on Damian Lillard. Dame says, listen, I see guys this size on me all the time. They're not going to, if they guard me one-on-one, he's not worried. They'll send more at him, in his opinion, than just Aaron Gordon. At home, Portland, the fan count is not that big here, Joe. I think I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think it was the second lowest amount of maximum attendance of any other series. Still, they make a lot of noise in Portland. I wanted to play Portland initially, and at 3.5, maybe I still do. I'll say this: the last 11 wins that the Portland Trailblazers have had, and this is a team noted for playing close games. So when you go to lay 4 points or 3.5 points, it gets a little difficult to convince yourself to do that. But the last 11 wins that they've had have all been by more than 4. Now, you can nitpick and you can go through that list of opponents, and you're going to find reasons why maybe that they won by more than 4. Absences of star players, crappy teams down the stretch in a couple instances. But still, I think when Portland went on that 6-game road trip after not being able to beat elite teams and started beating elite teams and winning by margin, I think that's a little bit of a change in confidence here. Denver's without Will Barton again. They're without P.J. Dozier again. Those guys aren't going. So I think if I had to, I would look Portland here minus the points.
Looking Portland minus the points here. 4 currently is what we're seeing, Ski. It was Dame time, certainly in the first half of that last game. Just didn't get any help. There was nobody else to go to. What are we going to see different tonight, if anything?
Well, talking about the total, what I heard Rob said, expecting defense. In general, I said I expect this series to be an over series. I think Denver, their best chance is to play maybe a slower type game and not really want to run up and down with Portland. Especially if you're playing through Jokic, it's probably going to be slower tempo. But for the Portland side, I heard Lillard say he saw things that they can improve defensively and things that they've been doing that they kind of stopped doing in that game. So I'm expecting them to give a better defensive effort, and it kind of makes me not so hot on the over anymore. I do agree that I like the Portland side. The only thing is Portland all year has not been a team that I really want to lay points with. 10-15 as a home favorite, but 17-8 straight up. So how I decided to do this one, kind of similar to my thought process with the Lakers earlier before the series started, is similar a little bit, not the same. But I want Portland. I took them today minus, and it was juicy. I took them minus 165. And my thought process is if they lose, there'll be a dog on the series, and I can come back because I think they'll win the series, and I can bet on them again in the next game too. So I like Portland to win this game tonight.
All right, getting it done tonight at home, Tony Finn. Are you a believer in Portland heading back home, taking a 2-1 lead here, or maybe a total is the choice? How are you going to approach it?
I still like Portland in the series. I won't back off that yet. I mean, I think tonight's game has a large part to do with that. I think, as Ski said, he didn't care whether Portland won or lost tonight. He still liked them in the series. I would think they would be, it would be in the same situation they seem to be all year. They always seem to be on the ropes some way, one way, either an injury or in a big game that's going to mean something at the end, or at least in the end game, should I say. And since Murray got hurt, Denver, 10-11, over to unders, overs to unders, 10-11 or unders to overs, whatever you want to say. 2-7 overs to unders in a game with a total that closed at 227 or higher since Murray got hurt. This is a team that has had no choice but to change a little bit. And in truth, there's a lot of reasons why you could argue with me about the 2-7 number on 227s, but the first two games went over in the series. I didn't touch either one, Joe. However, I think with Aaron Gordon being the focus of Lillard, I think Lillard still get his points. I think that Denver plays a little more deliberate offensively, and I believe that Aaron Gordon on Lillard increases their tempo, and not increases, but increases the number of seconds they use off a shot clock. They'll try to do some double, they'll try to screen, double screen, and get Lillard not one shake, but two shakes and get open looks. But by doing such, and with the switching methods that I expect Denver to do, with Gordon fighting through everything, then I'm going to expect a little more physical game. The ref's going to let it play physical, a slower pace, less points. I like the under in this game. I like both these guys. I don't want to lay the number with Portland. They seem to play close games down to the wire. Although if I had to, I'd still leave Portland, and I would lean. But my play here is an underplay in this Portland and Denver game outside of altitude.
5-1 to the under in the last 6 games in which Denver has scored over 125 or more. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe a little more deliberate, a little bit slower paced for the Denver Nuggets taking on the Portland Trailblazers. 10:35 Eastern time, guys. That is your final game here of the night. When you put it all together, we'll get a best bet from these guys. What angle do they like here tonight in these 3 games? And a quick reminder, of course, best bets for all 3 gentlemen are locked and loaded, ready to go at WagerTalk.com. All you have to do is head over to Ski's page there, Tony Finn's page, or, of course, Rob Vino's page. Go and get the best bets tonight, guys. It's the way to do it. 3 big games in the association, MLB, ready to go. A lot happening in the world of sports. No reason not to make it a profitable evening. All right, Ski, we're going to come back to you, man. You're going to put it all together. You got 3 games to choose from. Lay it out for us, man. What's your best bet here tonight? What do you like the most?
Well, before I start, I'll give a shout out to my WNBA just because I had a pretty solid start to the year. I had a push yesterday, but I'm 7-3 to start the year, so you can look out for my WNBA. For best bet in the association, usually I try to get something that I've already bet, and this one I haven't bet yet, but it seems like just based on game plan and what each team is trying to do, Milwaukee wants to pack the paint. I know Jimmy Butler is going to try to get his, but if somebody else is going to do some scoring and ease up that paint defense for Milwaukee, I think it has to be Duncan Robinson. And his 3-point prop has been pretty consistent at 3.5. I think he gets a lot of looks. Milwaukee is bottom 5 defending the 3-point line, and I would bank on him. If you're going to bet on Miami, it's either between betting his 3-pointers or, like Rob said, betting on Jimmy Butler. And I'll go with my own idea for the best bet: Duncan Robinson over 3.5 3-pointers.
Love that. Somebody's got to score on there. My goodness. All right, there you go, Finn. Your turn, man. 60 seconds on the clock. What direction you pointing us in here tonight?
I'm going to go with, as I really already kind of outlined this, the best bet being the Portland-Denver under the total tonight. I'm thinking right now, I haven't checked since we started the show, but before we came on, it was 227 and a half. You could still get a hook on that. A game that opened at 229. And as Rob mentioned, and as you mentioned, this game has come backwards. At least we've come back a little bit in contrary to what's happened in the first 2 games where both went over. Again, the 2-7 I mentioned earlier in the show, 2-7 Denver, overs to unders in totals of 227 or more, close to 227 or more across their last 21 games without Murray. Expect them to be more deliberate. Expect them to be more deliberate. They don't want to get in a running game with Portland tonight. And Lillard, expect them to be more physical with Lillard. And I expect less field goal attempts, less points, under the 227.5 is the play in Portland tonight, Denver.
All right. You going over under Luka in that game? All right, let's go, Rob Vino. What are you thinking here, my friend? Where are you going? Best bet tonight?
Yeah, I think until they give me a reason not to, Joe, I'm going to play under Lakers Phoenix. I just look now; it's 212. They couldn't get to 212 last game. They got the 211 as we talked about. And for the Lakers, 4 guys scored 96 of their 109 points. The rest of that team scored 13. Heavy emphasis on AD. Hey, AD can come back tonight and have 34 more. LeBron can come back and have 23 more, but I still don't think they're getting any more than 109. Chris Paul has been cleared to play here, guys, while we were on air here. So he's going to start. I do think that if he contributes at all, it's on the defensive end, and it's from a mindset and leadership position. So I just think this series has been way too slow, way too low scoring. It remains the same. I'm going to play it under 212 until they prove me wrong.
Yeah, that's and count on the refs maybe keeping the whistle in the pocket here a little bit more in that game tonight. I'm with you, Rob.
Let me mention something, Joe.
Go ahead, go.
Because we're in the playoffs again. We talked about this last year in the playoffs, but Rob's buddy Scott Foster is officiating tonight.
Oh,
he is. He definitely is. And Tony Brothers is out there too, Ski.
Which game is he in?
Tony Brothers is in, hang on, I got it here. And he's not even the crew chief. He's not even the lead guy. He's he's in the Denver-Portland game, Tony Brothers.
He's the late game. Okay. He's the late game. Wow.
I don't know if he hates Lillard or Jokic or anybody there, but
I don't know about Tony Brothers, but Scott Foster, I feel like from my memory, he always usually goes against the Clippers and goes with the Lakers.
Always, yeah. He's got his. He's going to be wearing his LeBron jersey underneath that uniform for sure. There, guys, tonight. Get ready for it. All right, recap it here one more time for you guys. Take a look here. Best bets, Ski. Going DR, man. Duncan Robinson for Miami here. Over 3.5 made 3-pointers. They better hope so. Tony Finn, Nuggets Trailblazers under the 227.5. Mr. Vino goes, listen, not from what I've seen. Give me the under 212 here as it keeps creeping up there a little bit. Our good friend John Ryan says back to Trailblazers at home, laying the 4. And guys, don't forget, though, Ski's WNBA best bets up and ready to rock and roll. Tony Finn locked and loaded here tonight in the games, as is Rob Vino. So head over there right now, guys. Go to the experts page there. Just pull it down. Go to Ski's page. Go to Tony Finn's page. Go to Rob Vino's page. And then make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner here on YouTube. Get notified and come back and join us again tomorrow as we take a look at the not only, of course, Friday's games in the association, but what we're looking at ahead over the Memorial Day weekend. So on behalf of Ski, Tony Finn, Rob Vino, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Best of luck with your plays, guys. Let's cash some tickets. Come back and join us again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.